All right, we're back with some iced water, which is awesome. So, we were just talking about Mad Men and getting into the shows that you did, and what I love that we just transitioned to is like the comedy side of things.
Yeah.
Like because comedy's such a natural thing. I mean, I know people are naturally funny, but then when they decide to go into it, they have to work extremely hard to be funny. Right? Because sometimes what we think is funny isn't going to relate to some other audiences. But
yes.
When you're naturally funny, the people I think that make it obviously still work hard at it as well. Mm-hmm. Who, I guess, because when you're naturally funny, it usually comes from the people you've grown up around, right? Like maybe dad has a really funny, and it's something that like you just have that in you because comedy was something that was grown around you when you grew up. Was that the same for you or not?
But that doesn't always translate into being good at comedy.
On TV?
It does not, because I know some of the funniest people
that are terrible
to
on
have
TV.
a conversation with, but that don't understand the timing of comedy, so they're dreadful in a sitcom environment.
Yeah.
To give an example of that, like I feel like I had a natural timing. It's not that I felt like I was a funny person, but I had a natural understanding of the rhythm of comedy. So when I started auditioning, and I was auditioning for comedies and I was auditioning for dramas, I was more attracted to the challenge of the comedic timing and being able to make that part of it work.
Okay.
And I was less challenged by the emotional, like having to cry and that just, I have very accessible emotions, so that was, I won't say easy for me, but that wasn't as much of a challenge because I'm a very empathetic person, so it's very easy for me to plug into the empathy of what this character is going through and be able to draw emotions on that.
Yeah.
That feels like, okay.
Oh, I can do that, yeah. Like I can cry twice, 3 times in a row and keep doing the scene, and that's fine.
Stepping onto a stage and making a live audience laugh the 4th time they've heard your joke, that's hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So that's a challenge to me. And that's why I think I fell so head over heels for comedy very early on.
Because of the challenge.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary. The complication of trying to get the timing and the intricacies. And here's the other thing that a lot of people don't know. So with writing, if you change the words, even like if you add a word or you forget a word in a comedy, you kill the joke.
Yeah, you're right. Because that has to be delivered in such a way.
Falls flat every time. So when you get people who come in and they think they're naturally funny, they'll want to improv and add things. Comedy writers hate those people.
Oh, so they hate improv then?
They don't hate improv. They hate improvers. Improvers are brilliant. They're incredibly funny, but they also have a respect for the comedy writers. Okay. So it's like if you have a multicam sitcom, it is like the gospel. Don't change a word of that. Spend time, memorize it, know it. Exact.
Yeah.
With a single camera, which is more what Fresh Off the Boat was on ABC, that was a single camera, so you could play a little bit. But I was always very, I want to honor the text that is there, and so I always do my dialogue as written, and then I'll add a button at the end that they can edit off if they want, but it doesn't change the integrity of the scene. So we would do buttons a lot, but you don't change the dialogue as...
Sure.
Just because, I mean, they're the ones being paid to be the writer. Like, let them be the writer.
Yeah. And that reminds me of a movie I saw recently that just came out on Netflix with Catherine someone. She plays the name. Her actor is the name, and she's a British actor. And she's like, her show is being shut down. I can't remember what it's called. And this lady comes in and becomes a writer. Uh-huh. It's a brilliant. I can't remember what it's called.
It to me so
it's just come out. I can't. Have you seen the TV show Sex Education?
No.
She's the mum in that.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna fry me. I'm gonna have to figure out what that movie is.
You have to text me after.
She's hilarious, but it's exactly what you're just saying. Like she has a TV show that it's like.
So they're letting you see behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, and it's like basically this lady comes in. She's like from India. She's come to do a job. She works in like a factory at the time, but she just applies for this comedy, and they hire her because they need someone who's like ethnic on their, like, because she's been told that like she hates women. That's what the character's been told. So they just hire someone. They just hire this lady, and she's never had any comedic experience. Her comedic experience is like cracking jokes on the PA system in the factory, and the whole movie's about her like breaking through and doing this thing. But that's like, they have like 6 or 7 writers who are like around a table, and she ends up writing all this funny stuff. But that makes sense because like there's bits where like she just doesn't say what the writers say, and the jokes would have been killer, and like they try to carry. Long story short, the movie's awesome. I'm gonna find out what that lady's name is.
Yeah, find out. So I learned so much about the process. Like I said, I'm very big on education, so I love learning everything that I can about the process. So I actually did stand up for a little while because I wanted to learn more about joke writing and like on that side of it. And it's at a time where I was spending a lot of time in a boxing gym. I boxed for 7 years. I did Muay Thai kickboxing
That's
and
just
boxing.
The best workout ever.
Because I was fascinated by the community. I fell in love with this group of people in the boxing world. And so I boxed at Wild Card with Freddie Roach, who literally trains Mike Tyson and Manny Pacquiao.
How was that?
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was so much fun because I became a part of this world. They after a while let me in. At first they were just like, get out of here. Like, what are you doing? But then they finally embraced me as one of their own, and now they are like my family.
That's so cool.
But so when I was doing that, I decided to do stand-up for a moment, and I quickly realized that you have to write about what you know. And so all of my stand-up was about me being this, this blonde little, tart in a boxing gym, and how out of place I was. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Stand-up is brutal because you walk in, all these open mics are at like 11 o'clock at night, which is a terrible time to try and have your brain operating at a high speed.
Right.
And you have to get on stage where everybody assumes you're going to be terrible. And then you have to try and change their mind in like 3 minutes. And it's brutal.
And the thing is, like, people who go to these shows, like, they know that like you're trying out all your new stuff, right? That's where everyone goes for like the comedy club and all this stuff. Like that's where everyone goes to practice their material. So they already know that some of these jokes can be terrible, but also like they're there because they want to hear bad jokes so they can have an excuse to yell at you, right? That's like that. Yeah. That's all. The lady. So I found it. The lady's name was Gillian Anderson.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of her movies. I don't know what the name of the movie is, but it's awesome.
So stand-up was really hard and really challenging. But what I learned is that by having, and I won't say mastery that I was amazing at it, but having an understanding of it and a mastery of being able to understand how that process works, it made everything else so much easier. Yeah. Because then I understood the joke writing process. I understood how crucial every word was. I understood how you can't mess that up.
Right.
Or the joke falls flat, because I'd been on stage and forgotten a word, and then I was like, oh shit, that just ruined my whole joke.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna
and then you're
gonna
do the whole delivery completely different, right? Like that whole, and without doing that process, you're not gonna find out. Like you have to do that process because they're going through all those fails.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, somebody laughed. Okay, maybe onto something. I'll change it up again. I say, well, this word differently, and then the whole place is on fire, cracking up.
Yes. So I went to the Montreal Comedy Festival. So a show that I wrote was accepted into the Montreal Comedy Festival as one of the pilots in the pilot program. So there were 5 shows, and we were pitching it to a panel of executives. And so I got invited to Montreal, which is the first time I'd ever gotten a stamp in my passport. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Canada.
This girl from Oklahoma is finally going somewhere, and it's Canada, of all places, right?
Barely over the border. And so I went with my writing partner, we went to Montreal, and I remember going to all these comedy shows and getting to see, all the greats. They were all there. So they go and they perform. And then I was there as a writer, so I was just getting to go to all the clubs and watch everybody. And I remember going into a club with this guy Chris, who owns Gotham Comedy Club in New York, and he took us in because one of his clients was performing, and he took us in. So we were upstairs in like the VIP area. We were upstairs in the back, and then it's just a packed auditorium down below, right? Yeah. But we're up in the rafters by ourselves, so like you can tell when the laugh is.
It's a real laugh.
Where it's isolated up top. So Bill Burr is doing his set, and it's what did he say? His whole set was on women, and how like, don't tell me that being a mom is the hardest job in the world. Because, you know, I thought being a redheaded roofer in July was pretty hard. Yeah. Or, you know, so he has this whole bit on, you know, why you should never hit a woman. He's like, I can think of a million reasons why you should hit a woman, but like, you just don't do it, you know? So anyway, I wasn't his target audience, but I was cackling because I appreciated the crafting of the jokes and like the delivery of it, and how, like, I was just so enamored by the process that I thought it was brilliant and hysterical, and I was laughing so hard. I was probably the only person laughing because the audience was not appreciating. They didn't get it. Just Canadians just were not into it. Yeah. And so nobody was laughing. So afterwards, when we're having a conversation, and I was like, I thought you were hysterical. He goes, were you that one person laughing upstairs? I was like, I was. I thought it was great. I thought it was incredibly hysterical. So he was like, man, he goes, those jokes usually do a lot better. He goes, that fell so flat. He was like, thank you for that boost of confidence tonight.
Just that one person in the rafters, like screaming their head off laughing.
One person laughing. I was like, I thought you were great. But it just that it is such an art form, and I think that I chose to pursue that because I have such a love for comedy that I'll do everything else, but I'll never love it as much.
You always go back to that, always have that place.
And doing a multicam is like even more specifically what I love, because then you are in front of a live audience. So the audience actually becomes a character in the show. Because it's dependent on their laughter. Like they have to be a part of it. Yeah. And I love that. That's what 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory. And
so people can come and watch like the set and see the show like when they're there.
Yeah. And that is the closest thing. So what I want to bring to Oklahoma, I'm claiming it here now. Yeah. This is what I want for Oklahoma. I want a multicam comedy shot in Oklahoma because I want it to have the energy of a sporting event for entertainment. Yeah. Like that's what I want. That's what I want.
I'd definitely go see it, and I'm sure people would once they realized what it was and they got to see it for a few times. They'd you'd be on a waiting list to get tickets.
Well, you get to see behind the scenes. Like you get to see how everything is created. And when I was doing 2.5 Men, I remember the episode I did with Enrique Iglesias where he is singing out on
Charlie's
the balcony.
Playing, right?
Yeah, Charlie's playing. Yeah. So, there is a massive audience filled with all these women who are just like obsessed with Enrique, because he just travels.
That was like the height of his, profession at the time.
Yeah. So we go in and we're doing our lines in front of this live audience. And after he sings, "You Are So Beautiful," I have my line, you should use those words. And so after I would do that, every time I would stop, not every time, but like for a few times I would stop and I'd be like, oh, I messed up my line. Let's do that one more time. Can we just back that up? I was like, girls, do you want to hear Enrique do that maybe one more time? And they would just
the crowd would go
lose
nuts.
Their minds. They're like pulling their hair out and just going crazy. Yeah. And so you get to play with the audience and have so much fun. If I'd done that in a single camera comedy, they would be like, what are you doing? You just messed up, 4 hours of production.
We have a lot of time. We don't have any time left. Like we're, screaming at you. But
but
I guess
you
that's
get
cool.
to play with the audience, and there's more of an inclusivity that's really, really cool in that environment.
I think it's a great way to transition to coming home.
Right.
Making the decision, having a baby, coming home, raising a child here in Oklahoma, and at the time, Oklahoma has. Like I said, Gray came home and, a good friend of both of ours, Lance, was doing his thing, and just the film industry in Oklahoma that no one really has any idea its potential unless you're in the industry or my brother-in-law's brother, I don't know how that works out, is Josh McCamey. Do you know Josh McCamey?
I know the name.
So Josh has done is a director and done some stuff. He's in the film industry here.
Sure.
A lot of his stuff has been like animation stuff or just small budget stuff. But we watched a movie recently down at Harkins. They had a viewing for it a couple of months ago, and it was about some rabbit and some Oklahoma actors and stuff. It was really cool. But he is definitely someone who would, is pushing for it as well. And Lance will know. If Lance is listening, Josh maybe is listening, he'll know. Lance will know what we're talking about. But
hi, Josh. I should meet you.
Yeah, you guys will meet. I'm sure you may have already have met. I don't know. He's probably been in some of the same places, but he probably hates me for saying this because he's very humble and he doesn't like to be in the limelight, but he's very good at what he does.
Ruh-roh.
You're welcome, Josh. So yeah, coming home and I guess not leaving the profession, but you're like, I'm gonna come home. I'm a mum now, or mom.
Gonna call me a mum. That's really more fun.
come back to Oklahoma, and with I guess this vision of I'm gonna build something at home, right?
That was not my vision at all.
No.
So
you're I need to come home, Mum. You need to take care of the kids.
No. If you had asked me 10 minutes before I actually gave birth, my plan, because I'm a planner.
Sure.
I think you understand that about me by now,
love
right?
the list.
Okay, so I love the list. So I literally planned. I was lucky enough to get pregnant easily, which I know is not everybody's experience. But I was like, well, I'm going to plan it around what would be convenient if I can.
Yeah.
I mean, and then if I can't, then that's God's control and not mine. But I literally planned my baby around pilot season, so that I was like, okay, so I can have the baby in July, and then I can have a couple of months to be able to get back, in my skinny jeans and back on set, and I'll be ready by January. I'm a psycho. I had it all mapped out.
Yeah.
And then the second he was born, I was just like, I just want to be here for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to need more time to get to know him and to be around him. And I don't want to go back to work right away. And I remember going back on set. He was 7 weeks old. And I remember going back, and he had colic at the time. We were 3 weeks into colic, which is hell. I mean, just the worst experience you can have as a parent. And so we weren't sleeping. He was having these screaming fits where he just turns blue and you have no idea what to do. And I'm having to go and do a 14-hour day with hair and makeup. So it's don't cry or you are going to screw everything up. So I'm just I've got all these hormones just surging through my body. So I'm trying not to cry.
You're I really would like to go to a kickboxing class right now and take all my anger out.
I would love to just
without any energy.
The hell out of something. Yeah. And instead I am so in my trailer. I get an hour and a half early. I come to set to. My husband was able to come with me, and we would set the baby up in the trailer. I would nurse him. He would go to sleep. I would run to hair and makeup. That's a 2-hour process to pull all that together. And then I would come back, feed him again, get him to sleep again, and then run to set and hope that I had 2 hours before turnaround time. So everything was just having to be so scheduled and chaos when there is no control. You can't control a baby. You can't control when they're gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't control a baby or set.
You can't control anything. Yeah, it was awful. And so I did that so I came in and I finished that season. So I did 3 seasons with a baby.
Yeah.
And they were all incredible. The last one was much easier than the other 2, but it just became where I was turning down work for everything. I was I will do Fresh Off the Boat. I don't want to do anything else. I do not want to go and be on set right now until this is more stable. Because I don't want to go and make a first impression and people think that I'm terrible to work with because I'm this emotional basket case walking around trying to pull myself together.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of pulled away a little bit. I still was working, so I was working more than.
But you're working with people who trust and know that you can act rather than making a first impression, you said, because that first impression is everything.
It is everything,
especially in acting in Hollywood.
Yeah. Although I will say, bad behavior gets rewarded all the time in Hollywood. So maybe if I threw a tantrum every once in a while, I'd get more work.
Yeah. So can you cry again? Sure. Yes, I can do that.
Yes.
Do you want ugly cry? Okay, I got that too.
How ugly do you want that to be? So we. So I had that experience, and what I started noticing in the last year that I was in LA is that all of my auditions weren't in LA. So I was putting myself on tape for shows that were going to be shot in Atlanta or in New Mexico or in Vancouver or in New York or in, New Zealand. Or so there was started to be this trend where, because streaming was changing the industry so much, it was also changing the locations where everything was being filmed. So everything was being spread out. And so I just had this moment where I thought, if I'm going to hop on a plane for work anyways, I'm going to go buy a house, make an investment. I'm going to be closer to my family, and I'll just travel from there. Like, it's in the center of the country, so it'll be easier to get to these places. So much easier to go places, Because my agent would literally tell me, okay, well, there's this series that starts, Kevin James has a pilot that's, picked up for series. I want you to go in and audition for the wife. You would have to relocate and move to New York, like, next week. And I was like, and find a pediatrician and find somewhere to, like, I don't know I can't just pick up a baby and, like, go to New York. I just gave birth, like, actually I think that was before I'd even had the baby. So they wanted me to audition where I was 9 months pregnant. And I would literally, hopefully, have the baby and then be able to move.
But I have the baby in New York.
Trying to figure out, like, it's just like there is no plan for any of that kind of stuff. So when I moved back to Oklahoma, it was with the 100% plan that I would travel for work and that I was just going to make that happen from here. And when I got here, that's when I was pleasantly surprised that there was more of an industry kind of bubbling here than I knew. And so I just diverted all of my focus to, so if I can help this industry grow, then maybe I can do what I love, where I love, and then I don't have to travel for work. And then my family can just be here and I can raise my little boy that, in the place that I love. That sounds great. I'm willing to hustle for that. So
that's so cool to have that, like, just that surprise of being, you know what? Okay, why not? Like, there's no reason this can't happen here.
No reason. And I will tell you, I very much listen to where I feel like I'm being called. I was being called to Los Angeles. I felt that God wanted me to go there 20 years ago. Didn't quite understand why. Didn't know anybody. Didn't have much experience. Didn't really have a plan, but I was willing to figure it out. I had a wonderful experience there. I did start feeling called home very much in the last year. And so I listened and I just did it. And I was like, look, I can always go back. If it doesn't work, I have an investment. At least I own something here, which is more than would have ever happened in Los Angeles. I'm closer to family. My parents just bought a house in Edmond as well. So now I actually get to see them more. That's not a bad thing. And I feel like everything that has been put in my place since I've been back has happened so incredibly fast. And I don't feel like that's an accident. Like, I feel like it is all like a bigger orchestration that I'm just a piece in that. And so I'm just trying to listen to, like, what the next appropriate steps are and who the people I'm supposed to be doing it with. And, I did this short film with Lance. When I first got back was my first experience really getting to know Lance. And we did a faith-based short film that is going to be in Dead Center. And I had such an incredible experience because everything that I had done to date before that was network television where there's hundreds of people around. And Lance and I did this project where there's like 15 people, and that's it, all of us. And it was incredible. Like, it was so much fun. I was like, I want to do more of that. That's so fulfilling and creatively challenging. And I just want more experiences like that. And I know what is missing here.
Sure. Yeah, and that's kind of the reason, you said, like, once you came back, everything just started falling into place and happened so fast. That's why I asked, was it a vision? Because it makes it look like that, right? It makes it look like you came back with the exact plan and you knew what you were going to do and just hit the ground running.
Let's just stick with that, because that sounds more like I know what I'm doing.
Everyone listening can forget what I've just said. Because last year, was it the end of last year, you and Matt went to this Capitol and had, like, this huge win. Tell me about that.
So Matt and I found out that they were putting a bill through where they were asking for a tax credit in addition to the tax rebate that's already in place. And a tax credit is a little bit differently because it's not giving cash back, it's putting money back into Oklahoma.
Sure.
And it's what most of the other states do, and they're able to give a higher amount because it's not cash. So you can work with a little bit more. And what Matt and I are really passionate about is, our backgrounds are in TV. Matt wrote for CBS shows, and I acted on CBS shows and others. But we both know what that industry can do if it comes here for our economy, and how many jobs it can create, and the consistency of a TV series and what that does for an industry. And so right now we have a cap, and it's small, and it will support small budget films. But if we could open that up to something bigger. So our whole thing was, we just went in and educated. So coming back to that, to just say, here's our experience in the industry. Here's what, and just kind of answering some questions. So we got to sit down with, the pro tem and the appropriations chair, and a lot of the senators and a lot of the House reps, and it was a wonderful experience that I feel like I learned so much about how bills are created and how they get passed through, and it's been a really fun process. And then, of course, the pandemic kind of shut everything down. But the day before the pandemic happened, we were at the Capitol, sitting in Brian Hill's office, and, talking to him about the future of Oklahoma and like what we can all do if we work together. And it's been an extraordinary experience. And I will say, I don't have a political science degree. Like, if you had asked me 5 years ago who my senator was, I wouldn't even know where to go to look for that information. And now I feel like I have, a good amount of friends that are senators on Facebook, and, texting people like, hey, I heard your bill passed. Congratulations. And the fact that I know about any of that stuff feels like such a gift.
Sure.
To be able to be a part of that process and understand how it works. So, hopefully we'll go back in the fall, but I think our state is in a very complicated place right now, with oil and gas being what it is. And, so they're doing the best they can with what they have. And I hope that this is something that can create jobs for Oklahoma, that can come in and diversify the landscape that's already here. Because instead of being so up and down, it would be nice if there was just something else that could come in and provide some consistency
just
for
a
people.
Steady film industry in here. Because I seen that. I think I saw the press release for it, and like someone has mocked up this beautiful looking building, right? That's like that. This is the plan. This is what I think studios and, like I said, on set and all the rest of it. And I think it got a pretty good buzz out of it, right? People seem to like it. Yeah.
I mean, I think there is an entire industry that comes along with it. Like, it's a very transient industry. But if there is a foundation for it here, then they will come. Like, you will have businesses set up, you will have jobs created, and not just people coming in and taking those jobs. Like, we want those jobs for Oklahomans, and that's where education's a big part of it, is being able to make sure that OCCC is turning out students all the time. Francis Tuttle has a great program. Like, there are lots of programs that are established here in Oklahoma and in the state that are trying to help people see that these are pivot jobs. You already have the skills, just learn how to do it specifically for film, and then you have another place where you can make money. Like, carpenters, build houses. Guess what? We also build houses.
Right. Yeah. Multiple houses in multiple, in the same location.
We just leave one of the walls off. We just build, 3 wall houses so that you can film inside. So it's, we need plumbers and electricians and carpenters and seamstresses and accountants, and there are lots of jobs. It's not just actors and directors, which is what a lot of people think.
Right. And the good thing, like, there's going to be that girl who had the same thing as you, right? She goes to OU and she goes into acting, but she now doesn't have to leave. She has a job in Oklahoma to do it passion, Like, I guess that's the whole goal of that, just for industry purpose of having skilled people know that, look, you don't have to try and go to LA and sleep on the floor in a friend's apartment or whatever, and like, try and get a waiter job and struggle, like really, really struggle. And you can do it from home. Like, that's really cool.
we want to be able to create an environment where we can retain the talent, where we can bring some of the talent back home that's already left. And yeah, that we can have an industry here because there's so much talent coming out of Oklahoma. Our goal is how do we capture that and keep that here?
I recently found out that Ron Howard's from Duncan.
Yep.
I mean, Ron Howard directed one of my favorite movies. It was Rush, the Formula One movie. Such a good movie.
There's so many talented people in the industry.
And who, you know, and like
Megan Mullally, Karen from Will and Grace. Megan Mullally's from here. You have Mark Cherry, Ron Howard. There's a bunch. James Marsden, he's a great actor.
Yeah. And now these people in the future, the names that we're going to be hearing, we're going to know a lot more about them, and because they're going to be working now instead of, I'm sure they're going to leave and you're always going to go places.
Yeah.
But that's a cool thing and a cool goal to work towards, right? Like, and Matt, you know, people listening know Matt's photography because I share it quite a lot on the Instagram page, and Matt's been on the podcast before, and I mean, Matt, I think recently is probably most well known for spending 3 weeks with Val and Amy Castor last year's storm season and making a documentary out of it.
Maniac.
Crazy. That day that we had 2 tornadoes in the same helicopter shot, Matt was on the ground like 3 miles away.
Shaking in the back of the car.
Yeah. Oh, what an experience.
Yeah, he's a brilliant photographer. Like, he is such a talent. It's incredible. Like, just what he can do with the camera.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's kind of annoying how good he is with the camera, right?
Yeah.
But you appreciate the stuff that he goes to see, and he travels a lot. Has there been places where, I mean, you traveled quite a bit as well, like outside? I know you went to Canada, but like that was the first time. What is there other places that you've been to do?
So I shot a series in Chicago. I shot a series in Atlanta. Most of my work was in Los Angeles, and the reason is because I did comedies.
Yeah. There's no like
multicam
big
sitcoms
movie stuff away.
Well, movies are everywhere, dramas are everywhere. Comedies still are kind of like
in-house.
A pocket thing that are done in Los Angeles, and the reason is because you have table reads and run-throughs with network and studio where they have to come in and watch and approve everything through the week. So you get a new script every single day until show night, which is why it's so interesting that you have to have every word memorized when you get a new script every morning with all these changes. So you really only have one day to fully memorize and not mess up. But because of the inclusivity of needing the network and the studio nearby, they've always done those in Los Angeles. I'm hoping to change that with some digital enhancements.
Definitely.
You know, why not?
We spent enough time, I guess, talking about work for you. What do you do for fun other than be a mum? Do you have a life outside of work and being a mum? I guess not right now, but did you before COVID hit?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love being around friends and family, and you know, I devote a big part of my life to mentoring other women, trying to help them start a business of their own and to understand business. I think that we need more female CEOs and women at the table for, you know, in the higher positions. And so I have dedicated a large part of my life to helping women understand their value.
Sure. Beyond
maybe what they think they have, and helping them understand that, you know, glass ceilings are meant to be broken. And, you know, you're capable of whatever you put your mind to. And sometimes, you know, so you just need somebody to believe in you before you're ready to believe in yourself. And so I do a lot of that work here. I don't know that that's a hobby. I don't know. Maybe I don't have any hobbies anymore.
Right? Outside of, you know, working.
Yeah. I like riding bikes. Does that count?
Yeah. Like competitively, or like just going on a cruise?
No, just like a cruise. We used to do it at the beach. Now we do it like around Lake Hefner or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Which, as long as it's not windy, it's okay. But if it's windy, it's miserable.
So I actually, because
that's usually where I ride my bike too.
That you need the gears.
Yeah.
No bikes had gears in Los Angeles because you're just cruising along the beach and it doesn't matter. And then when I bought bikes here and they were like, well, you really need the gears. I go, I'm not going to use those anyways. You need those with wind.
Coming back to Louis in a south wind is not fun when it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, you're just like the
and you're not out for exercise, you're out for a casual bike ride.
I'm in a cruiser, a beach cruiser, and there's nothing cruisy about it. feel
That's
like
hilarious.
punishment.
And I assume you have the little one, you have your son on the back too, right? So you've added weight.
Yeah, well, I usually make my husband have the trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah. Everything, he's the new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything circulates around him right now. So I work a lot during the day, and I take breaks. I have built-in breaks to play trucks and, paint stuff on the floor, as you can see. It's just all about him right now. I think I waited long enough to have kids that I was ready for it to be all about him. And so I enjoy living life through his eyes.
Yeah. A friend of mine when this goes out, her birthday would have not been yesterday, but her birthday was yesterday to the day we're recording. And happy birthday, if you're listening, Kirsten Holder. Her son, they call him the baby dictator, and it's just the best. I just love it. Yeah, she's like, baby dictator, we have to do this at this time. I'm like, it makes total sense.
They change everything. They change your schedule in ways that they go to bed at like 6 o'clock at night, 6:30 at night, so you're not able to go out and have dinner we go out to dinner at like 5 o'clock
with all the old people, right?
Yes. Yeah, but I'm like, man, I
actually really enjoyed dinner at 5.
It's quite lovely.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to finish with some quick fire questions, which I haven't done this for a while, and people who listened for a long time know that these aren't really quick fire because we end up lasting a little longer than like your 2-minute quick fire round. But best experience you've had outside of acting?
So the company that I told you about, or the mentorship program that I do. So it's with a company, and I hit the top of the company in the first 3 years. That coincided with when I had my baby, and I was recognized by the company in front of 17,000 of my peers, and I walked out with a 7-week-old baby strapped to my chest.
Yeah.
And the cool moment about that was that it wasn't about me. It was about what is possible and showing 17,000 women that you can do this and this, at the same time. You don't have to choose. You can be a strong businesswoman and you can be a stay-at-home mom, and like those two things can coexist.
Yeah.
And I walked out behind this woman, Crystal Archie, who is married to a pro football player, and she had on a dress that was like $15,000. Like, it was just this beautiful gown that was like
every girl's dream.
She looks like a Barbie. Like, she's so beautiful, and she just looked like a princess. And I'd just given birth 7 weeks before, and so I'm wearing $100 maxi dress with like milk stains on it, and a baby strapped to me that has colic. That's a ticking time bomb that can start screaming at any moment. And I got a standing ovation. Yeah, because I was representing something real. Yeah. Not that she's not real, but
everyone can really relate to walking around with sick on you with a ticking time bomb to a baby that's ill and being in front of those people.
And the doctors, threw their arms up, and when I walked out, and they were just like, wow. So it was just a moment that was not about me, that I got to share with so many other women.
Did it feel like taking you back to being at OU in front of all those people?
Yeah, but nobody from Nebraska was there throwing things at me. We had to come back to that.
You had to go back to that, yeah. You got to get that in before the end.
That's called a callback, guys.
It is. Favorite song at the moment?
Favorite song? You Are My Sunshine.
Is that what you sing? Are you singing that to him a lot?
Yeah, we did that one a lot. Or This Little Light of Mine.
Favorite song of all time?
Oh, jeez. My husband would divorce me for this. He's a musician, and I'm so bad with music. Wheels is a song that my husband wrote.
Okay. Last person you saw live in concert?
My husband.
Most famous person you've ever met?
Muhammad Ali.
And I was going to say, and that could be like for you, not like in the grand scheme of things, like you might have met someone that's super famous, but he's a friend now, so
I was Chris Pine's personal trainer for a while. I did his I was like the coach that got him in shape for Star Trek.
Nice. So who is somebody that you wish you could have worked with?
Nicole Kidman.
In any type of movie? Anything.
Yeah, she's just a genius. Awesome. She is such a she has such a devotion to the craft that a lot of people don't share. She's pretty extraordinary.
Football or basketball?
Football.
Favorite meal?
Macaroni and cheese.
Favorite restaurant in town?
In town?
Yeah.
Woo.
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, right. Barrios is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like that place. A new place, a new favorite is North State Burger.
Yeah. New State, is it?
New State?
New State Burgers? Yeah.
Yes.
Real good.
Yeah, that's been post-COVID that we discovered, so I can't wait to go sit at the bar.
Go to Starbucks order.
This is going to make me sound obnoxious.
You'd be surprised at some of the people. I've asked that question, and without second hesitation, they've reeled off double pump this with an extra shot of this, and I'm like, whoa.
Okay,
people are serious about their Starbucks, so you have no shame. Don't worry about it.
I'm a grande vanilla latte with 3 pumps. Vanilla.
Let's see. I have a list of these, so I'm trying to go down the list. But some of these, the next one would have been best burger in town, but you'd like New State, which is awesome. I'm gonna finish with this. What is the most bizarre green room request you've ever heard of?
Well, I mean, we don't have a lot of green room requests, but I will tell you the weirdest. I did a film with Diane Keaton, and she stopped production because there was a photographer on set who was squatting down to get a shot, and she lost her mind because she was like, you don't ever shoot a woman from that angle. Like, stopped production to educate this photographer on how to capture an appropriate photograph of a woman, especially a woman of a certain age.
Yeah.
And I mean, as if Diane Keaton wasn't as good as it gets for me, she certainly became my queen.
Full-on girl power. Yeah.
I was just like, you are a special kind of magic. Goldie Hawn, that's who I haven't worked with that I would also love to work with.
Awesome. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure.
You're fun.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, and thank you to your husband for taking care of the little one. I know you said he may be running around somewhere, but this I'm sure everyone listening had a great time just hearing your stories and seeing how far you've come and what you've done, what you've overcome, and just gone from, like you said, that girl at OU 2 years in and thinking, I'm going to just try and film. I'm going to get out of cheerleading, which, in high school and college, like, that's some people's dream. Like, there's people now who work 9-to-5 jobs, live their best lives for 4 years being a cheerleader, right?
Sure.
So, to give up that at that age was, I'm sure, not easy, but then going full force into acting and just coming full circle and coming back to town and now putting every effort into, bringing the film industry to Oklahoma. I think that's something that we're super excited about, I guess, as a state.
Thanks.
I'll say that on behalf of everybody. And I look forward to seeing the future and seeing the little one grow, and he'll be on set soon, I'm sure.
He will.
Awesome. How can everyone follow you and keep up with what you're doing?
Sure. So I have massive arachnophobia, and there's a spider over there. So I'm like, oh my God.
Huge. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or something, the full episode is live.
I'm full on sweating right now. And it's just like a grass spider, but that doesn't matter. They're all
It's about the size of a quarter, and I hate spiders, so.
That's okay. I won't let him get near you. Trust me.
Thanks.
So my website is rachelcannon.com. My Instagram is Rachel W. Cannon, because Wells was my original name. Cannon is not my married name, so please don't ever call my husband Noah Cannon.
How did you pick the Cannon?
Family name. When I joined the Screen Actors Guild, Rachel Wells was already taken, apparently by a porn star. So
nice.
not me.
Yeah.
But so I just changed it legally, because it was when I first moved there. So again, you just kind of want to establish yourself as.
That makes sense.
Instead of be like, oh, do I introduce myself as my professional name or as my real
both.
name?
Yeah.
So I just changed it. But Noah Engh is my husband.
All right.
If anybody is curious, and he just got Musician of the Year by 405 magazine.
Sick.
After
we
being
have that
in town for a year.
because I had Instagram of the year somehow.
Yay.
I think Matt really pulled some strings for that, because it was an editor's choice Instagram. It wasn't people actually voted for you. It was
well, you're my favorite account.
I appreciate that.
You have extraordinary pictures.
It's none of mine. We have amazing photographers in town that I love to share. So anyway,
that's cool.
Awesome.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. For everyone listening, I'll post everything down below as usual, and you can go and watch this on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram TV, maybe. We'll see if you're lucky. Catch you guys next episode. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
This podcast was presented by the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, who've been telling Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. Follow them online at oklahomahof.com and definitely on Instagram at oklahomahof. Catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.